So there's a button on the screen. It says Sends, and it has a bunch of tiny little baby faders here. If I press that, oh, this screen is finicky. I'm going to press home. So I press the Sends on Fader button. When I hit that Sends on Fader button, it changes what comes up on the board. I start to be able to see whatever mix is selected in the Sends on Fader. There are two different layers of our Sends on Fader view. One is mix and one is matrix. The mix setup is all of our hearbacks. It's all of the in-ear monitors for our musicians. These individual mixes allow me to view, select, and edit people's individual in-ear mixes. You'll see as I select these things that none of them change this center section. This is recall safe and kind of like button safe to always be here so that even if I'm modifying one of my mixes or my matrices, I can still control the in-house mix at the same time. It's really, really important. So, by what button I press, I determine what I'm mixing. So here I've got my Vox reverb selected, or the band reverb. What then comes up here is all the things that I'm sending to the band reverb. You'll see that all the vocals are down. That's because I don't want any of those things going to the band reverb. But if I were to select Vox delay, you can see that I do have all of these vocals being sent to the Vox delay mix, the Sends on Fader. Now, normally where we have this set to and where we cue things to listen to the headphones is our video mix. That's the bottom one. One press selects that mix and brings it up on the board. Everything that is in that mix is highlighted green. If I press that again, it will turn yellow, indicating that that thing is cued to the headphone mix. There's a headphone knob here that I typically start with all the way down to 0 and bring up as I decide how much I want to hear. If I didn't know what was cued in my headphone mix, I can always use a clear cue button. An example of this might be, let's say I'm in a weird layer of the board. If we can zoom out and kind of see the whole board. Say I can solo any of these things. It's not going to change the in-house mix, but what it will change is the headphone mix. And I'm going to be soloing and listening to only those things. The problem comes when I'm in a different layer of the board and I don't know necessarily what's cued. There might be several different things all cued, but I won't see them all necessarily. I'm going to use the clear cue button up here on the board. To clear that out, I can then go to Sends on Fader and re-cue my video mix. This is kind of where we live on a Sunday morning or for an event. This allows us to hear what is being piped out and broadcast through the video mix. So let's kind of dive into that now. I'm going to start playing some music. Okay, so whatever I do in-house is sent to the video mix. If I make an adjustment in the room, it also makes the adjustment in the video mix. Now, as I'm putting my video mix together, one of the problems that I might run into is I've got the exact level that I want in the house for something. Say, the electric guitar is a great example. I've got enough electric guitar in the room, but in the video mix, it's kind of getting lost. And I feel like I'm not maximizing all that extra stereo field and all of that kind of control that I have in the video mix. In that case, what I could do is, like, say I've got it set where I want in the mix. What I can do is I can go to Sends on Fader, bring up the video mix, and I can raise the electric guitar simply in the video mix. Now what will happen is the level will stay the same in the room because that's controlled outside of the video mix on the regular board setting. But in the video mix, I'm kind of hyping that instrument to calibrate for the video live stream. Getting my mix back to kind of where I want it here. Okay. Now, we don't typically mix musicians' headphones. When they're on stage, we let them control their mix. We really, really don't want to make any changes that they don't know about. That's something that they are responsible for and that they control. However, sometimes to quickly solve a problem, if someone says they're having a hard time hearing something, one of the things I can do is go and press the mix toggle. I can toggle to the mix when I go sends on fader. And I can bring up their mix. When it's cued like this and it's yellow, it's being sent to the headphone mix down here. That means it's going to be coming into the headphones if I've got those on and I'm listening. And I can look at their mix. Sometimes one of their instruments might be on in the house, but it could be off in their individual mix. And I can turn that on for them or bring the level up if, say, the level was down and they couldn't hear anything. All right, I'm going to toggle back to my matrices here and my effects. Just to give you an idea, I'm also going to be looking at my drum layer here. So I'm going to go to B1, toggle to B1. That brings up my drums on the far left of the board. Now I'm looking at the video mix for my drums. A lot of times, because the drums are so loud in the house, we have the overheads hyped. They're pretty loud in the video mix, just to compensate for all that volume we hear in the room and we try and control and keep very low. We actually hype those in the video mix to kind of compensate. We also can send things to the subs. So this is where we set up our bass instruments. So now looking down the line on the board where the drums are, you can see we have none of the overheads or the hi-hats sent to the subs, but we do have the kick and the snare. We also oftentimes will send that low tom to get some of that feel from the low end. We also, on the instrument layer, are sending the bass to the subs as well. If I wanted more bass going to the subs, I could raise that fader, and I'm not changing that bass volume anywhere else, just in the subs send. All right. So just a couple of notes. Throughout the morning, I really like to take the headphones off and put them on pretty often, and to protect my ears, especially when I'm here for 6 or 7 hours on a Sunday morning, I like to wear my headphones a lot so that I'm not exposed to the loud volume from the stage the whole morning long. And I run the volume for the headphones loud enough that I can hear everything I want to hear, but soft enough so that I'm not going to do damage over the period of time that I'm listening for. But one of the problems that we all have made this mistake at some point or other, but it's the big mistake. If I have queued up on Sends on Fader my video mix, that means I'm going to be listening, I'm going to be viewing my video mix and listening to my video mix. Sometimes what will happen is we'll forget we are in the Sends on Fader view and start making adjustments, being like, oh, I want more vocal, I want more vocal, I want more vocal. It's not changing the house, it's just changing that video mix. An example of how this could really come back to bite you is, say, I then click on the subs Sends on Fader mix. All of a sudden, what I'm going to be listening to in my headphones is the subs mix, which you really don't hear much in the headphones. So I can panic, and I've known people to accidentally dime the stereo bus into the subs, or they might bring up the vocals, oh no, the vocals aren't on, and they start turning the vocals on and bringing the vocals up. That would send all of your vocals to the subs, and also turn the microphones on to feed back all of that sub-frequency with the microphones. So remember, when these things are green, you're not in your main mix. Be very wary of all of these buttons here. They tell you that you're in a Senzon fader queue. Before I go back, I'm going to turn that to the video mix. I'm going to exit. Oh, yep, the board is finicky. I'm going to press that home button. Okay. A little bit about Senzon fader. That's Senzon fader.
Senzon fader.
Senzon fader.